Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and we're going to follow up on the Disney Predator legal battle, the situation going on with Disney trying to keep the rights to Predator as the original screenwriters try to claw those rights back. And then we're going to talk about how it seems like the next Predator movie, you know, the one they're doing that sounds an awful lot like Mulan, where we've got a strong Native American warrior woman trying to prove herself, fighting predators in the Southwest, I guess, or something like that. That might get dumped onto Hulu. Yeah, Disney might just dump it onto Hulu. It's not even worth a theatrical release. We'll talk about that too. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 197,000 subs. Thank you for the support. Geeky is sitting this one out. She's got some stuff she wants to do today. And I don't think she really cares too much about this, but you can check out more Disney news over at piratesandprincesses.net, objective Disney news. So this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. We're going to talk about this first, that Disney seems to be stalling for time in this Predator legal battle. We've been covering this for a couple months now, that we were talking about, the upcoming Predator reboot from Disney, and that there are legal problems. In a nutshell, the screenwriters of the original Predator screenplay, there basically is an expiration date on how long Fox could retain the rights to Predator. And now Disney, of course, having bought Fox, that they're saddled with this situation now too, and these guys want the rights back. They want the rights to Predator back, and they're suing Disney, and they're getting stalled out. Coming from the Hollywood Reporter, Hollywood docket, Disney gets favored turf in Predator rights fight. So it sounds like Disney is winning so far. And we said before, Disney will just run people out of money. They will. They'll run people out of money until they cave, or they'll try to buy you off. They'll try to settle, but usually one of the stipulations, if Disney settles with you, is you're never allowed to talk about it. You can't talk about it. They make things disappear like magic. Ta-da! So a roundup of entertainment law news, including an Ice Cube lawsuit against Robin Hood and all this other stuff going on with Disney right now. But this was the first item. Disney's 20th Century unit will win the first round in an ongoing legal battle over the franchise rights to Predator. On April 15th, two dueling suits were filed. First in San Francisco, Jim and John Thomas, the brothers who wrote the original screenplay, I think it was called Hunters, or Hunter back then, filed a complaint seeking confirmation of successfully recapturing rights under the termination provision of the Copyright Act. Basically, the studio kind of leases the IP for a while, and then it reverts back to the originators of the IP. So this is going to be catastrophic, I think, for Hollywood. There's a lot of stuff they're going to have to deal with because, it was never imagined that Hollywood would just, get stuck on a track in the 80s and 90s and just keep rebooting everything again and again and again, because back in the day, we used to always come up with new stuff. How would they know that in 30 some years, Disney would want to reboot Predator? They had no idea. They thought it was a one and done at the time. And now Hollywood's like frantically trying to hang on to these IPs as long as they can, these brands as long as they can. That's all this stuff is to corporations, right? You pour your heart and soul into writing a screenplay or making a movie, recording a record, working on an animated series, and all it is to some corporation like Disney is just a brand. Something they can go back to the well and keep milking. Anyway, within hours of filing this suit in Los Angeles, Disney filed its own complaint seeking to hold on to the rights. The case will ultimately turn on the proper method of counting time. But first comes the determination of where the battle will play out, San Francisco or Los Angeles. At a hearing on Thursday, Mark Toberoff, the attorney for the Thomas brothers, explained that he filed in San Francisco because entertainment cases are a dime a dozen in LA, and he didn't want the case lost among the many suits where plaintiffs are arguing a stolen idea. We wanted to hear fresh voices, said Toberoff, aiming to flatter U.S. District Court Judge Laurel Beeler. The judge was sympathetic, expressing how she'd love to adjudicate the case on the merits. But without making it official, she said she firmly agreed with the other side. This case belonged in L.A., the home of all the parties. Expect a formal order soon. So there we go. Disney is trying to stall these guys out. This could go on for years. This whole lawsuit could go on for years. Again, it was based on their original screenplay, which I think was called Hunters, but kind of interesting with all the talk about Predator lately. This is the original version of the Predator. This was Jean-Claude Van Damme in a bug suit. This is what they were originally going to go with, guys. So, I have to wonder if this isn't going to come into play. They'll be like, well, yeah, the original version of the script, the original monster that they had is not the monster that everybody recognizes now. It was Jean-Claude Van Damme in a Toku costume, but thank God they changed it. Carl Weathers with his prosthetic arm stump. Yeah, thank God they changed it when they did. So here's what's really interesting. This version of Predator, this sequel, reboot, whatever, prequel that Disney is doing, where it does sound like a strong indigenous woman is going to prove herself to her tribe and take down the Predator, right? It looks like it's getting dumped on Hulu, possibly. This is coming from Bloody Disgusting. They cover horror movies. It said Dan Trachtenberg's Predator movie headed directly to Hulu. So Hulu has been quietly making some huge plays to distribute the Hellraiser reimagining. Are we doing Hellraiser again? Yeah, apparently they are. There's a bunch of other movies that they're reimagining. So they're talking about Toberoff, the lawyer, Mark Toberoff of Toberoff and Associates. We talked about him. Said that he helped several creators regain their rights, including the infamous Friday the 13th case, not to mention A Nightmare on Elm Street, They Live, Beetlejuice, Psycho, Angel Heart, and many others. Yeah, again, a lot of these brands from the 1980s are set to expire. And I kind of wonder if this doesn't explain all of the reboots and the merchandise, because we know that Beetlejuice in particular has become very, very popular in the last couple of years. And part of that could be the musical. I mean, my daughter, Pinky Boo, she freaking loves Beetlejuice stuff. But it's awfully weird that Beetlejuice is this popular right now when they just had the one movie 30 some years ago. And it could be trying to, hang on to rights. I don't know the full extent of how all this is working, but it does seem like, oh, hey, this is set to expire. Let's come up with a new comic. Let's come up with a new TV show. We look at Sony, like they have to keep rebooting Spider-Man every couple of years, or the rights go back to Marvel, right? So Toberoff is also helping the writers of Predator regain their rights, allegedly revealing that the film will be distributed by none other than Hulu, AVP Galaxy reports, while also confirming to Bloody Disgusting they heard news on last night's stream with The Hollywood Reporter. This is all extremely interesting because it's potentially revealing Disney's plans for Hulu, a streaming service they own adjacent to Disney+. So they're dumping more original content on Hulu. They're going to lose some content too because everybody's starting their own streaming service, and Amazon bought MGM, and MGM, I think, is responsible for A Handmaid's Tale. So I don't know if they're going to lose that one or not. As we learned this year with HBO Max, even though the streaming service is still owned under the same umbrella as New Line and Warner Brothers, they still have to pay for the streaming rights to their own films. What this means is that a film with a lower budget can reach the profit zone before ever even filming, and a project with a higher budget can mitigate risk for studios. Looking back at 2018's The Predator, 20th Century Fox struggled to recoup its massive $90 million budget, which put the franchise in serious peril. With the rise of the streaming service mixed with theatrical and PVOD options, a film like Predator could recoup its entire budget before it's even released on Hulu. Yeah, if the movie's any good. I mean, look, this is the plot. In the film, Amber Midthunder from Legion stars as a Comanche woman who goes against gender norms and traditions to become a warrior and to fight the predators and all that jazz. And it sounds like, from leaked plot details, it does sound a lot like Mulan meets Pocahontas. I don't know how it's going to do, But it sounds to me like they're just going to dump it on Hulu if they can get away with it. And they'll probably just tie it all up in court for years, and be like, oopsie doopsie, it hadn't been settled yet, hasn't been settled, so we're just gonna dump this Predator movie on Hulu, and look, we're still using it, Judge, we're still using it. So who knows? I actually expect Disney to settle this one. I expect them to throw some millions of dollars these guys' way just to get them out of the way, and maybe buy the rights to Predator outright, because they want to do something with Predator and Alien. I mean, they spent $70 billion on Fox. $70 billion. And they got jack shit for it. They really, a lot of these franchises are either very damaged. Look at Aliens. Aliens is a damaged franchise. Predator, it's pretty damaged, I think, at this point, and they might not even own the rights to it. What did they buy exactly? Are the Fantastic Four and the X-Men worth $70 billion? A lot of the movies they had in development, and some of them looked very, very good, like Mouse Guard. They pulled the plug on them. So it's like I'm still trying to figure out exactly what Disney bought. They're going to reboot Home Alone, which is a terrible idea. What did they buy exactly? They got to get a return on this investment. So who knows? I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.